Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Once more, one more announcement. I think for purpose of loading your presentations, probably let's do it at the tea break. So if all the presentations for the mid-morning session up to lunchtime, if you can please make sure that there will be someone just outside there, or you can ask them to direct you to the right place. But we need to get started. I think others will join us later. Let me hand over to the MC. I almost became the MC. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. My name is Lamik Chagona. I'm with UZ. I'm the Master of Ceremony. I hope I'll be following up everybody. Just a bit of protocol. What has happened is that we open normally for our minister to be there when we open, but we looked at the timetable again. His opening address will be at 9:15. So perhaps he's not late because our program says 9:15. We can go ahead, and if he comes at 9:15, then he can open. I think then we can save time. My job is a little one just to say to you, you are welcome to Zimbabwe on my behalf and on behalf of the organizers. I presume that you will have been told that we've got the convenience for toilets through the exits, ladies to the right, and to the left. I think that might just to emphasize that if you want to visit the convenience places. I would like to say here we have got for this, we come for the second international conference on pesticides plants 2017. It's a wonderful place to have you here in Zimbabwe, and of course.
And of course, I know that it's in countries, and once you're comfortable, we might be feeling very hot in Zimbabwe. So just forgive us that it's just the way things are. In front of me, I have the Prof. Professor Mashiri, who is representing the Vice Chancellor of the University of Zimbabwe. He is the Prof. for Academic Studies, and you will welcome Prof. We have the JFAO representative, or Deputy Representative in Zimbabwe, Dr. Kititi. You will welcome to Zimbabwe. And on your right, which is my left, we've got Professor Gudita, who will be chairing the first session. And on the next to him is Professor Usman. He's coming from Canada. And then we've got that's Professor Stevenson, is that right? Hill, and he's with Greenwich. And of course, we are all the chairman of the organizing committee, Professor Bradford and for me. With that, really my role is just to share these are the persons who will be leading this morning session, and I will leave it to Professor Gudita.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Chagona. I'm highly privileged to introduce you to one of the renowned scholars in the field of entomology. I want to introduce you to Professor Mary Eastman.
Apologies for the slight mix-up. I'm supposed to come first. And then before we go into the formal Eastman will be presenting. But I just want to take this opportunity as the National Organizing Chair of this conference. We welcome you to Zimbabwe. We welcome you to Victoria Falls. And when I'm here, I'm also representing not just the National Organizing Committee and not just the University of Zimbabwe. I'm also part of the International Organizing Committee. But Phil will say a bit more about the International Organizing Committee. The theme for this conference is harnessing pesticide or plant technologies for improved livelihoods. So we are looking at people's lives here that we seek to improve using pesticide or plant technologies. We think this is an excellent opportunity for us to bring our minds together, our research findings together, our experiences together, and distill things that can be used in developing countries in particular, because that's where we find most of these natural resources that can be used for pest management. We also realize that that's where the challenge of pests is also much more pronounced, probably because, like in Africa, the tropical conditions. So it's an opportunity also for delegates to interact, network, get new information or the latest that is happening on the globe in this discipline, and try to see what you can do in your own area of expertise, in your own workplace. We have received more than 80 abstracts, and we've got in the tune of 110 participants from all walks of life, from journalists to scientists, practitioners, NGOs. We do have farmers in here. So take time, as I said at the end of the day, these are our primary clients. These are the beneficiaries of all this science. So take time to interact with them at some point. We do also have private sector. These are people who take on these technologies for wider upscaling so that they are widely available. We would like to acknowledge the Journal of Industrial Crops and Products, which will be producing a special issue out of this conference. But I must also ask them to warn you that it's not going to be smooth sailing, it's not automatic. They will still be subjected to the normal peer review system. But it's just that there are a number of articles that are going to be put together to prepare a special issue so we can have all the information, latest information in one volume. I would also like to acknowledge the special support that we have been receiving from our advisory board, represented by Professor Murray Eastman from Canada. You'll hear more about it later, but we really value the support that has been provided, has been a torch there in this area of pesticide plants. And we really appreciate the guidance that is provided both in the previous project that we called adapt, and then this one. So for the last 6+ years, he has been quite useful in guiding us there. I need to say that I'm standing here, but I received a lot of support from the National Organizing Committee. They did quite a lot of work to make these things happen, and I really want to acknowledge them. We also got a lot of support from the International Organizing Committee, especially in terms of linking up with the international community, and also the general overview of the conference. That is greatly acknowledged. So I once again welcome you to Zimbabwe, and I wish you a very fruitful discussion, and I also wish you, some refreshing moments, refreshing your minds, your thinking. So have a chance to go to the peoples and enjoy the smoke that happens, what is locally known as Seatunia. Thank you very much.
Could you just allow me to interrupt this program? Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome on behalf of the organizing committee, the owners, the delegates, to formally welcome the Honorable Deputy Minister of Agriculture, Crop Protection, Comrade Davis Maratana. He is an MP and the Cabinet Minister in the Government of Zimbabwe. Minister, welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lemek. Welcome everybody. Thank you, Master of Ceremony, Professor Lemek Chagonda, and the Honourable Deputy Minister, Ministry of Agriculture, Mechanisation and Irrigation Development, Mr. Davis Marapira, Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of Zimbabwe, Professor Mashiri, the FAO Sub-Regional Office for Southern Africa, Joyce Willilamiti, directors of the various government Zimbabwe ministries, departments, donor representatives, the local and international organisers of this conference through the University of Zimbabwe, distinguished national, regional and international research scientists and development practitioners who are here, senior government officials from different governments, representatives of farmers, private sector, NGOs, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Options Project, welcome to Lake Victoria and to this conference. So it's my duty this morning to open up this session. I'd like to give you a little bit of an introduction to the background to this project, because many of you won't appreciate perhaps that the background to this project lies in a European Union development project. This was funded through the African, Caribbean, Pacific Group of States, and the project was optimizing pesticide and plant technologies, innovations, outreach and networks. So the ACP, who is essentially underpinning financially this meeting and the project that led up to this meeting, is the Africa Caribbean Science and Technology Program. It was launched in 2008 as a part of a consultation between the Africa Caribbean Pacific Group of States, who number 79 members in these 3 regions of the world, and it's a fantastic mechanism to support science and technology in these regions through European Union development money. It's open to the 79 member states of the ACP countries, but also to the 28 members of the European Union, as some of you may know, perhaps becoming 27 fairly soon, but also to 5 EU candidate countries and 3 members of the European Free Trade Agreement. The overall objective of the Science and Technology Programme of ACP is to formulate and implement science and technology policies that lead to sustainable development and ultimately to poverty reduction or poverty alleviation. This is meant to be through economic growth and progressive integration. The funding stream itself that underpinned a whole host of projects, including our Options project, which, as I say, underpins this conference, aimed to promote innovation in the ACP countries and to develop appropriate technologies that effectively can be deployed, bearing in mind the context of local needs. So they needed to be affordable, relevant, accessible and sustainable. And ultimately the funding was to contribute to the improvement of living conditions in those ACP countries. And primarily through boosting family but also business incomes, raising competitiveness and the quality or developing commercialization opportunities. And interestingly, the technologies were very specifically focused at the issues surrounding energy shortages, climate change, and food security. And it's fairly clear that the Options project actually came in under food security, but there were quite a few other projects that were looking at these other important aspects that face the ACP 79 group of states. So our project, I'm not going to go into much detail because hopefully you're going to learn an awful lot about the Options project over the next 3 days because we have several partner representatives talking about this work. But just to give you a very brief overview, the idea of the Options project was to promote and facilitate the uptake of pesticide and plant technologies as alternatives to synthetic pesticides. I'm sure we're going to learn a lot about why we need to find alternatives to synthetic pesticides over the coming days. For improving food security. And we also had a very strong emphasis on capacity building, particularly stakeholder institutions to be able to undertake science and technology research beyond the lifetime of this project. We also had an emphasis on reviewing policies in science and technology innovations because these can sometimes inhibit the progress of science and technology to enable effective outreach and also use of plant management through improved applications, availability, and possible avenues to commercialization. But ultimately with a very strong focus on food security, which underpinned the main aims of the ACP. As I say, you're going to learn an awful lot more about the Options project over the next 3 days, but if you want to find out everything we've done, then we have a very up-to-date, if you Google Options and then my surname, you'll find this website. There's plenty of literature, all the publications, all the outputs from this project are available here for no cost, and it's a very informative place, so a useful tool to keep in contact with other people in this area of research. So do go to that website. Just very quickly then, to summarise the story so far, we started off as a group of 10 institutes, 2 partners at each one in 2010, at a meeting in South Africa, and very rapidly grew during the course of a previous phase of work to host the first international conference on pesticide and plant technologies. One of the issues in that previous project was the development of a network. And I think we achieved it by having a conference in Nairobi 4 years ago. This is the second international conference on pesticide and plants, so you're all very welcome here. And the only thing that I would like to ask is that we all try and consider the possibility of a third international conference on pesticide and plants and continuing this network, because I think it's a very important and very useful mechanism to build sustainable means to control pests in developing countries. So what are the ambitions of the conference? I think we all have our own aims and ambitions. I've summarised here what I think could be important considerations. Obviously we're going to be hearing research updates from various delegates on pesticide plants, botanical insecticides, but also I'd like to hear about what people think could be the next phase of the Options project and other people's areas of research. Which direction should pesticide plants be heading in the next 4 years? And how do we enhance uptake and use? You'll be hearing from Murray shortly. I'm sure he'll be informing you that actually biological pest control still contributes a very small fraction of pest control globally. How do we commercialise pesticide plants more effectively and encourage uptake of these technologies? What are the new technology innovations? Are there more interesting and more compelling ways we can use these materials? But also, this is a conference, remember, this is an opportunity to network. So make sure you link up with other people, develop collaborations, think about when people are speaking, whether there's anything going on in those talks that you think you could use. Use this as a really good opportunity to network and meet other people. I really would like to see new collaborations developing out of this conference. And we need to keep the momentum of this network going. There is a sheet of paper in your little pack where you registered around the possibility of an international society. Is this something that we have an appetite for? Could it enable us to keep this network alive and deliver a conference in just a few years' time? So finally, I would just like to, again, like Murray mentioned, to recognise the funding from the European Union through the ACP. I'd like to recognise the support of the government of Zimbabwe in underpinning this conference. The additional sponsors, the FAO and the DAAD. I'd also like to thank Maria Justus, who is here representing and will be speaking, representing Industrial Crops and Products, the sponsoring journal. I'd also like to again thank the Options Project Partnership, all the efforts that they've all put in to make this conference possible. So finally, on behalf of the Options Project, we welcome everybody to Victoria Falls, the second International Conference on Pesticide and Plants. I look forward to great discussions with you all over the next few days. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Stevenson, for such a wonderful introduction to the conference. My name is Professor Kudiza. I've been in the field of research on natural products for the past 30 years. I'm privileged to introduce to you one of the most renowned scholars in entomology.
There's another hiccup. It's coming later. I think it's very eager to hear. But I think let's follow the program. Okay, please.
Sorry guys, right, here we go. So I'd like to welcome to the stage the representative of FAO here in Zimbabwe. This is Joyce Mulila Miti, the FAO Sub-Regional Office for Southern Africa. Welcome to the stage. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Good morning. I want to recognize the Master of Ceremonies, Professor Lamek Chagonda, the guest of honor, the Honorable Minister, Minister of Agriculture, responsible for crops development, in the Ministry of Agriculture, Mechanization and Irrigation Development, Mr. Davis Marapira, MP, the Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of Zimbabwe, Professor Mashiko, the directors of various governments of Zimbabwe ministries and departments, the donors represented here, the project partners and the International Organizing Committee for this conference, the local organizing committee for this conference through the University of Zimbabwe, the keynote speaker, Professor